Countess, has 1926 been a good year for you?
Oh, no, dear girl. It's been absolutely horrid. My darling husband Sterling died this year, you know. I don't know what I'll do without him.
I'm terribly sorry to hear that, Countess.
Well, aren't you the sweet little thing? Thank you, my dear.
What do you make of the theft of the Dagger of Amon Ra, Countess?
Oh, it's horrid. Simply horrid. What sort of creature would make off with a priceless work of art, I wonder?
Do you have any ideas about who it might have been?
Oh, my, no! I try not to associate with dreadful people, dear girl.
Do you know much about Egyptology, Countess?
Only a little, dear girl. I find it quite diverting.
The dagger shows Pittsburgh's high degree of craftsmanship. The dagger shows a high degree of craftsmanship.
Fräulein, this gift shop is closed. You should not be here.
Oh, I'm sorry. The door was unlocked.
Unlocked? My assistant will be disciplined harshly for this mistake. Please rejoin the party now. I will be forced to injure you.
No, thank you. I'm not...
You hear nothing of interest.
No, thank you.
I prefer the wine glass unless I am listening at the doors, no? Don't take me seriously, I am just making the joke.
You hear nothing of interest.
No dice, lady. Get your own drink. This is open bar. It's every man for himself.
No, thank you. I'm very particular about my hygiene.
You hear nothing of interest.
No, thank...
I'm not thirsty, lass, but then...
No dice, lady.
You hear nothing.
I prefer the wine glass.
No, thank you.
No,
No, thank you, dear girl.
You hear nothing of... You hear nothing. You hear... You hear nothing. You hear nothing. You hear nothing.
Back to the rotunda, Fräulein. The rest of the museum is off limit.
You hear nothing. You hear nothing. You hear nothing. You hear nothing.
No,
You hear nothing.
I'm not thirsty. I'm a busy man. Don't take...
No dice, lady.
You hear nothing of it.
I prefer the one.
Nice weave. You can't touch the daggers on display. Don't touch it. You don't. The dagger. It's the cat. Don't touch it. Don't touch.
I bore rather easily, dear girl. Do let's move on to...
You hear nothing.
No, thank you.
I prefer the...
You hear nothing.
No dice.
The food and champagne look good, but you're trying to stay on a diet. The food... Don't be greedy. You don't... The food... The food... You hear nothing.
No.
I'm not thirsty, lass.
You hear nothing. You hear... You hear nothing. You hear no... You hear nothing. You hear nothing.
No.
I'm not thirsty.
You hear nothing. You hear... You hear nothing. You hear... You hear... You... You hear... You hear nothing. You hear nothing. You hear nothing of interest. You hear nothing. You hear nothing of interest. You hear nothing. You hear no. You hear. You hear no. You hear no. You hear nothing.
You already asked me that, you silly...
You hear nothing of interest. You hear nothing of interest. The bottom of the glass reads, manufactured by...
How many times are you gonna ask me? I already told you everything I know about that.
There I was, standing on the hillside above the excavation in the Valley of the Kings, with the faithful Mahmud describing the dance of the seven veils to me in great detail, when a shout rose up from the workers below us. Sensing an important discovery at hand, since I have a sixth sense about these things, I scurried downhill to see that a step had been uncovered in the sand. It turned out to be the entrance to the Temple of Amon Ra. I took the trowel from the Boskafir and cleared the sand away from the rest of the steps myself, revealing the entrance to the temple. The seal of the necropolis was intact on the door seal, indicating that the temple had not been disturbed. I knew that fate had brought me to the discovery I had been seeking for so long. Tireless after my exertion in clearing the staircase, I used a sledgehammer to break through the sealed doorway. Within lay the greatest accomplishment of my considerable career. Hidden within the darkness, untouched for thousands of years in the isolated temple, lay the magnificent Dagger of Amon Ra, the greatest discovery of modern archaeology.
Good show.
Magnifique, very impressive, Dr. Carter.
So, that's when you heisted it, right?
No, I didn't heist it, you annoying little man. I took it out of the temple and showed it to the workers, who immediately fell upon their faces, all 350 of them, to show respect for my accomplishment.
That's hard to believe, Dr. Carter. Egyptian workers have proudly worked the archaeological digs for many years. I would not think they'd exaggerate their respect for you to such an extent.
But then you weren't there, were you, Mr. Nagier?
Well, no, that's true.
And when was the last time you were in Egypt, Mr. Nagier? You seem to have lost some of your accent.
Well, it has been several years.
I thought as much.
Your discovery really was quite a remarkable achievement, Dr. Carter.
Was remarkable, Dr. Carrington? You mean it is a remarkable achievement. There has never been anything like it before.
Quite so. Correction noted, Doctor.
If you will all be excusing me, I see a man I need to speak to.
Certainly, Miss Delacroix. Certainly.
Boy, did he bet. She's some dish, ain't she?
Yes, those Frenchwomen really have something. I don't think my wife would ever have done it in a mummy case.
In my vast experience of women from different lands, I tend to agree with you, Mr. Nagier. I balked when a certain French woman suggested we have a deep conversation on the back of a dinosaur, but I was pleasantly surprised by the results.
Yes, Miss Delacroix is certainly the cat's pajamas, as the Americans would say.
Yeah, We does come up with some good sayings, don't we?
Quite.
Good Lord, I hadn't realized a woman was present. Please excuse us, Miss Bow.
Oh, I wasn't actually listening to you gentlemen, Dr. Carrington. I just happened to be standing here. Excuse me.
Ryan, I'm having the hardest of times keeping my hands off you.
Not here, Yvette. There's too many people.
They are not important. You are the most powerful man here, my Ryan.
What about that Carrington guy? He's president of this museum.
The doctor, he is old and weak. You are the young one and strong.
And what would you be wanting, Miss Bow?
Oh, well, I thought I heard you call my name.
You must have been hearing things. I didn't even mention your name.
Oh, sorry. I've got to be going now. Excuse me.
And what were you doing when that fancy dagger was being stolen then?
Let me see. I was sleeping in my hotel room.
You don't sound too sure about that.
I haven't been sleeping too well since I arrived in this country. I'm tired, so I'm not thinking too well.
You're not sleeping well. Would you be having a guilty conscience then?
I do not understand your meaning, Mr. O'Reilly. Perhaps it is the English. It is such a curious language, not as clear as the Egyptian.
Well, you say the dagger is what brought you to this country. If I were in your position, I'd be tempted to steal it.
Steal what has already been stolen? The Dagger of Amon Ra belongs to the Egyptian people, Mr. O'Reilly, not to Dr. Carter, not to this museum, and not to this country.
I'd be watching what you're saying, Dr. Smith. You're digging your hole deeper with every word.
Amon Ra will seek his own vengeance on those who have removed his dagger from Egypt. Amon Ra does not require my help.
You say you were sleeping when it was stolen. Were you alone?
That, sir, is none of your business.
Ah, that's where you're wrong, Dr. Smith. It is my business as long as you're a suspect in the burglary.
A suspect? Do you Americans have no shame? I'm here to gain the return of the dagger by legal means. Ask Dr. Carrington.
I have talked to Dr. Carrington, and I know he told you no dice.
The matter is not settled until the last camel drinks from the water of the oasis.
What's that? Some kind of Egyptian double talk?
Excuse me, sir, but I see a turkey leg on the buffet table that requires my attention.
If you want to know my theory about it, I think it was stolen by an Egyptian. No offense to your people, Mr. Nagier, but I think there is a secret sect of Egyptian sun worshippers who have sent an envoy here to steal the dagger.
Countess, I hardly think that's likely. Secret sects like you're describing haven't existed in hundreds of years.
Oh, really? And what makes you such an authority on secret sects, Mr. Nagier?
Well, I am only expressing my opinion, madam. I'm certainly not an expert on the subject.
Quite so. I think my theory is as good as anyone's, darling, and I heard it from a reliable source.
Oh? Who was that?
Never mind. Let's just say my source has never been wrong before.
There's always a first time for everything, Countess. I still find your theory far-fetched.
Since you seem to be listening, Miss Bow, what do you think of my theory?
What? Oh, I definitely think it's worth considering, Countess.
There, you see, Mr. Nagier, the press takes me seriously.
Of course, it is kind of far-fetched.
Well, I never! Excuse me.
Oh, did I say something wrong? I'm sorry.
So that's the deal, Countess.
I'd rather not talk about it right now.
Yeah, no kidding. The wall's got ears around here. And so does certain nosy reporters, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Now, if you'll excuse me, I simply must speak to Dr. Carrington.
Sure thing, Toots.
Miss Bow?
Oh, Mr. Dorian?
That's right. We met at the docks.
Oh dear, your shoes. They aren't exactly formal.
Oh, well, I can explain that, but not right now.
I see. Well, what brings you here?
You.
Oh, me?
You told me you'd be here tonight and, well, I thought we should talk.
Oh, about what?
Could we step outside for a minute? The moonlight is very nice tonight.
Well, all right. I think I'd enjoy that.
I just wanted to explain to you who I really am.
You're not Steve Dorian?
Well, yes, I am Steve Dorian, but I felt like I didn't give you the most accurate impression of myself when I met you earlier today. But, gee willikers, I'm just not used to meeting attractive young ladies on the docks.
I wasn't down there looking for a man. I'm a professional journalist working on a story.
Oh, well, yes, of course you are. I didn't mean to imply anything. In fact, I was very impressed with your professionalism and with your smile. I just didn't want you to think I'm a common stevedore.
Well, I'll admit I was wondering what a stevedore was doing at this ritzy museum fundraiser.
My stevedore job pays the bills, but I'm aiming for a career as an artist. However, I'm really here because I'd hate myself for the rest of my life if I didn't try to see you again. Maybe I'm a fool, maybe you think we're too different, but I had to try.
Well, I'm very flattered. Are you always this nervous?
I'm not very good with women. I've spent all my time working ever since I was 10 years old, when my father died. I've never had a chance to date very much. Lately, I've spent my free time going to school.
I'm starting to think we're more alike than I first thought. My mother died when I was very young, so I was raised by my father. What kind of an artist are you?
I'm a painter, and I do a little sculpting.
How interesting. But I think that an artist would know enough not to wear work boots with his tuxedo at a formal party.
Oh, I said I'd explain that, didn't I? I was hoping nobody would notice. I had to blow 2 weeks' pay to rent this tux, but I didn't have enough left over to rent the fancy shoes. It's just that I had to see you again.
You spent all your money just to see me? My goodness, I don't know what to say.
Say you'll have dinner with me some evening. I may seem a little odd, but I promise that I'm harmless. I'd be honored to spend an evening with you and show you the sights around town.
Well, I don't usually, but you've gone to a lot of trouble to find me. I think I can trust you.
Really? You'll do it? Oh, thank you. You won't regret it. I'll make it a memorable evening. I'll paint for you. I'll dance for you. I'll sing for you. Anything you want.
Well, there's no need to get carried away. Let's see how dinner goes first.
Of course, you're absolutely right. I don't seem too anxious, do I?
Maybe just a bit, but that's okay.
Okay, I'll take a deep breath and calm down. I'll be fine. I'll do whatever you want.
I think this is the beginning of something important, Steve. I like you already. Let's go back to the party, Steve. I've got work to do.
Well, ain't you the hoity-toity dame these days? I almost didn't recognize you with your clothes on.
Excusez-moi, am I knowing you, sir?
Ziggy's my moniker. You gonna pretend you doesn't know me?
Ah, you are making the joke with me, no? Perhaps you have confused me with someone else?
I ain't joking. You're a bad Delacroix. I'd know that body of yours anywheres.
I am sure I am not knowing what you mean, Monsieur Ziggy.
Oh, I get it. You's is worried one of these hi-hats is gonna hear us, right? Oh, okay. I'm clued in. We can talk later.
Are you enjoying the culinary delights this evening, Miss Delacroix?
This food, it is adequate. I do not eat so much. This way I maintain my figure, no?
Ah, yes, and a lovely figure it is, Miss Delacroix.
Merci, Dr. Carrington. You are so kind.
I feel we've known each other long enough. Please call me Archibald.
As you wish, Archibald. I am yours to command, as always.
Miss Bow, is there something I can do for you?
Oh, no. I was just admiring Miss Delacroix's dress.
Merci, Miss Bow. And your gown, it is a bit out of date, but charming nonetheless.
Thank you, I think.
Well, if you ladies will excuse me, I must mingle with the guests.
Well, well, look what the leprechaun's dragged in.
Hey, now watch what yous calls me, O'Reilly. I don't know what that leprechaun thing is, but I don't like the sound of it.
I'm sure you've been called worse things, smart guy.
Only by low-class type poisons, O'Reilly. By the way, ain't you afraid of being seen with me?
Cops talk to stoolies all the time, and I was wondering what you're doing here.
I'm a big patron of the arts. That's the kind of high-class guy I am.
You don't even know what the word patron means.
I does too.
Okay, what does patron mean?
Hey, ain't that the countess I see over there? I needs to talk to her.
One thing I am admiring about the Egyptian man is the way he is treating his woman, with the strong hand and the firm words.
Well, that is the proper way, as our culture teacheth us.
Which is not to say our culture is primitive by any means. Our civilization has evolved over thousands of years, so our methods are quite well thought out and practical.
And the Egyptian man, he is very skilled in the private matters as well, no?
Well, speaking for myself, I feel it is my sacred duty to be knowledgeable in all matters that concern me.
I've certainly had no complaints about my skills, Mr. Delacroix.
Ah, Miss Bow, I didn't see you standing there.
Ahem. Well, I hear another turkey leg calling my name at the buffet table. So if you'll excuse me.
The turkey leg, it sounds good to me also. I'll accompany you, Dr. Smith. Countess, they tell me you were married to the last museum president, no?
Yes, darling, that's correct. Sterling Waldorf Carlton was such a charming man, and so wealthy. My heart is just an empty void without him.
Yes, Sterling was such a nice man. It's too bad that he's worm food now.
Ew! I prefer to think that Sterling is still with me in spirit.
Oh, I'm sure his body is crawling with maggots by now. But if his spirit is with you, let me know because I'd love to see it.
It is hard to lose a loved one, no? I understand you were only married this short time, Countess.
Yes, I had only 2 short but charming months of married life with Sterling before he died.
And how long had you known this man before you were married?
Oh, we met just 1 charming month before we decided to get married. It was love at first sight.
Where did you meet him?
Oh, I had only been in this country a few weeks when I met Sterling on an offshore casino ship. It's quite legal to drink and gamble there, you know, and all the right people attend. Sterling was so charming, he just swept me off my feet.
This Sterling, he must have had the large broom.
It's just a manner of speech, my dear.
Sterling was a wealthy man. You must have inherited a nice fortune, Countess.
The money doesn't matter, darling. Actually, there's an annoying problem with the estate right now. It seems Sterling was changing his will when he died to give me more money, perhaps. Anyway, I'm sure my attorney will take care of the problem.
Too bad you can't dig him up to finish his new will.
Yes, quite.
The archaeology, it is such a masculine profession. Breaking into the ancient tombs with your sledgehammer, thrusting your way into the treasure chambers, touching the gold artifacts. It is also stimulating, no?
Yes, well, when you put it that way, I guess it is rather stimulating being the most important archaeologist of all time.
And it is such a burden to bear this greatness, no? With such pressure to perform, you must be perfect all the time.
Yes, you have a unique understanding of my problems, Yvette.
Ah, your problems, they are obvious, no?
Very kind of you to say that, but there are many who misinterpret my actions. They don't understand the pressure of having famous relatives in the same line of work, and having to compare oneself to them all the time.
Ah, but the Tutankhamun find, it is nothing when compared to your discovery, no?
Correct. I didn't realize you knew so much about archaeology.
I know many things, Dr. Carter.
So I've heard. Maybe we should discuss archaeology sometime.
I'd love to hear about the work you do, Dr. Carter. Perhaps later tonight?
Will you be working late tonight?
Oh, yes. I think everyone will be here tonight, no? There is much to be done to prepare for the opening of your exhibit tomorrow.
I was planning a break for tea around 3 a.m. if you'd like to join me.
It sounds wonderful. Perhaps you would come by my office then?
I'd be delighted.
It is so gracious of you to take the time to speak with me.
Nonsense. Think nothing of it.
How will I ever repay you for this courtesy? I know how busy you are, Dr. Carter.
I'm sure we'll think of something. And call me Pippin. I told you to stop bothering me, you camel driver.
Dr. Carter, I will stop bothering you when the dagger is safely back in Cairo.
I don't know if you've noticed, but the bloody dagger has been stolen from the bloody museum, you great twit.
I see no reason to exchange epithets with you, Dr. Carter. I am aware of the burglary. I am also aware that no evidence was left behind, and the dagger case was not harmed. In fact, I think you removed the dagger from the exhibit.
Me? Me? And what bloody reason would I have to steal my own bloody dagger from my own bloody exhibit?
The dagger is not yours, Doctor. It belongs to the Egyptian people. As to why you stole it, I do not pretend to understand your twisted American thinking. Perhaps you wanted to keep the dagger for yourself, in your own private collection.
Perhaps I should ask why you're shifting the blame onto me, you insignificant peasant. It would be very clever of you to steal the dagger, then stay about to start rumors about someone else stealing it.
Only an archaeological thief would make such an accusation, Doctor. Now I'm sure that you stole it for yourself.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
Did not.
Did.
Did not.
Did.
Gentlemen, please.
Who asked you?
Mind your own business, you nosy reporter.
But
I have more important things to do.
Our discussion is far from over, Dr. Carter.
That's what you think, you malodorous buffoon.
You are interested in the great art, no? Then you should come with me this evening. I'll give you the personal tour of the old master's gallery.
Well,
I guarantee that you will not be wasting your time. You will enjoy it very much.
Well,
You are studying the art at the université, no?
Well, yes, but...
Then it is settled. I will give you the private tour in a little while, no?
But
There is no need to thank me yet. I will be enjoying it as much as you will.
it's a fanatically happy party goer. It's a fanatic. This is a mastodon, one of the early mammals. Back to prehistory, they're included in the exhibit. This particular example of the order, the cold, the...
Achtung! Terrorists are not allowed in this room at this time. You are disturbing the paintings. Raus! You leave now! Mach schnell!
This is an Areop's skull. Suspended overhead by thin wires, the pterodactyl froze horrific tableau. A fairly accurate model of Struthiomimus. It's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. His name is Rex. It's you, Laura Bow, fresh out of college and already working for a great metropolitan newspaper.
Welcome to the Linedecker Museum Dinosaur Display. My name is Rex, and I'd like to tell you about myself. I'm a type of dinosaur known as Tyrannosaurus Rex, which means King of the Tyrant Lizards. Although I was not the largest type of dinosaur, I was the largest predator ever to walk the earth. Some of my friends were 40 feet long and weighed 8 tons, with teeth that were 6 inches long. Your modern elephants don't weigh more than 6 tons. I lived between 250 and 65 million years ago, during a period known as the Age of Dinosaurs, also called the Mesozoic era. The first complete skeleton of a Tyrannosaurus Rex was found just 24 years ago in Montana in 1902. Although there were many meat-eating dinosaurs, I was considered the best killing machine who ever lived. Speaking of which, I'm feeling a bit hungry. Would you like to volunteer to be my next meal?
While this is an interesting approach, you pick it up and the room. The suit of armor is empty. The helmet on this Italian suit of armor, circa 1460, is interesting because it's a barboot. The barboot is sometimes called the barboot. Unlike the barboot, however, it is, however, difficult to differentiate and the bassinet, the shallow barnet. Then again, who really cares? The mummified corpse of Amenophis III, temples to Amon Ra, both at Karnak and at in the 5th year of his reign. Ouch. We also know that Amenophis was now he's dead.